Previously on City of Dana.
That can't be a good sign. The night before our wedding day,
It's Jack is all.
you were concerned about Kathryn Elizabeth. You were with her for 1 year. Those are chicken scraps of a relationship, Dan. Jack and I were engaged. We were together for 6 years.
Do you think the two of them know each other? Now come on, Nadia. There's no way in hell that's just some coincidence. On the previous episode of Pilgrim, Kathryn Elizabeth agreed to the impromptu marriage proposal of the doctor, Jack. I'm Jordan Paul Sullivan, creative director for Lantern Theater's City of Dana series. Tonight, Kathryn Elizabeth will learn more about Jack and his traumatic history with Nadia. The Fist Mate Proompt will begin to pressure Cricket by intimidation and violence until the young actor accepts the first mate's fictional worldview. But first, we will start off in the men's cabin, where Jack and Dan are about to have their first run-in in 3 years. And these men, friends from childhood, will make a bet for old time's sake.
Pilgrim, Part 2, On Whales and Scales. Episode 1, The Men's Cabin. Dan is alone and in his boxers. He's humming a chipper whistle while you work sort of upbeat song and is about to begin slipping on his sailor's trousers. A knock is heard at the door, and the door opens immediately, without any pause. Dan pulls the sailor's trousers up as quickly as he can, but as Jack enters, Dan is still shirtless, standing with his back to the door.
Un momento, por favor.
Dan turns around, remaining chipper.
Ah, it's my roommate.
Jack is brooding.
Both of our names are on the door, Dan. Who do you think I was? Room service? This is the Brig Pilgrim. It's a far cry from the Peninsula Hotel in Shanghai. That hotel was worth every penny. Do you remember the shrimp ball? That thing was the size of a small car. Then the next day we played that haggling game at the street market, and I convinced one of the street vendors to sell me a 50 RMB selfie stick for only 5 RMB. The best you could get him to slink down to was 30.
Dan throws his shirt across his shoulder.
You're a doctor now. I'm a doctor now.
Dan nonchalantly points to his chest.
Does this mole look weird? Is this a trap? What, you don't treat lawyers in your practice? I try to avoid litigious people, in general. I see. You're back in the States. Been back for a year now. Wouldn't have known.
Dan puts on the shirt and then begins to unpack some items from his overnight bag. A toothbrush, a book, pajamas, etc.
And you're here tonight, aren't you? With this line of questioning, it's no wonder you can afford a place in Ritz Cove. Have you seen my house, Jack? Our house. Mine and... well, I've seen it. My grandparents live in Ritz Cove. They do, that's right. What street are they on again? The street just above yours. I drive by your mansion at the bottom of the hill whenever I'm on my way to their mansion at the top of the hill.
Jack sits down on his bed and opens his own overnight bag and begins to unpack.
I'm just starting out. The economy was a lot different when your grandparents were making their fortunes.
Dan and Jack each unpack a pelican figurine, nearly identical in size and design.
Whoa, what are the chances? Better than you'd think. I've noticed the pelicans populating your front lawn.
Jesus, you're telling me. Sometimes when I pull up into the driveway, especially when I'm getting home from work late, I find myself getting flashbacks to the fucking Serengeti.
The Serengeti?
I went bird watching there a few summers back. Fucking traumatizing.
Some nasty pelicans in the Serengeti.
The figurines. The one next to the porch is 3 feet tall.
I've bought my grandmother one that's taller than that.
So I'll buy a new figurine every Tuesday. My partner and I have a weekly dinner at Harbor Grill. Oyster night, Tuesdays. If you haven't tried it, you should.
You buy them from the Ocean Institute?
Oh, not there, Jesus. The gift shop right across from the Harbor Grill. I'm sure it has a name.
The store you go to every Tuesday?
Yeah, that one. But listen to this. I'll place the latest figurine out on the lawn when I get home on Tuesday nights. Then when Nadia notices it out there on Wednesday morning, I'll pretend like I don't have any fucking clue how the thing got there. I started telling Nadia that the figurines are reproducing, like the real birds do. She really doesn't get why the pelicans are replicating up and down her lawn.
She sounds happy.
She is.
I never said that I wished her to be unhappy.
Yeah, and look at you. You got your license. And now you're a doctor. Saving lives.
I'm still losing more patients than I'm saving. The first 2 or 3 years of a medical practice can be pretty difficult for the patients.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's not something that's going to change, Jack. You think my house is a palace, you should see this lawyer at our sister firm who works medical malpractice. Taj Mahal.
That doesn't mean there aren't good doctors out there helping people.
It means there's a lot of doctors out there who aren't doing no harm.
You think your perspective might be skewed? You're coming at this from the legal perspective. You know what motivates lawyers, don't you?
The legal perspective is the only perspective. And I can defend that statement all day long, Jack.
You think the truth will carry a lot more weight than your perspective.
My perspective is the only truth.
More true than the actual truth.
The legal truth, Jack, is the only truth that's binding. A man dies on the operating table. The doctor did everything by the book, but when the court rules that the doctor was negligent, then he's guilty, according to the law. What's more important? The absolute truth? That the doctor did everything by the book? Or the legal truth? That the doctor is legally guilty of third-degree murder, and he's been ordered to pay $2 million in restitution to the family of his victim. The victim of his murder.
And they wonder how we got ourselves into this situation.
Discrediting evidence. That's what I do, Jack. Who would have figured that someone out there would pay the son of a hard hatter thousands to argue about a road or some newspaper article?
It's been 3 years since what happened.
How about some alcohol?
Jack shakes his head.
I'm on duty.
Why the bag of wine?
I don't know.
Well, I do.
Dan walks over and grabs a bottle of cheap Cabernet. He twists off the cap and takes a generous swig.
I've had a few years to reflect on things. In regards to what transpired, don't you say a damn thing once I say this. I deserve my fair share of the blame.
I concur.
I said don't say a thing.
Only saying that I agree.
And don't you dare pass that along to Nadia. It doesn't make you or her any less culpable.
That's your perspective.
That's the goddamn truth and you know it.
Dan starts laughing uncontrollably, and Jack laughs along with him, without explanation.
You were really sick.
I'm still sick, Dan.
Yeah, but the immune thing, it's better.
It's dormant. Every day,
every year. It's a game of probability. If I roll a 6, that's it. I'm just walking around and treating patient after patient, though I'm not that talented, and waiting for the 6 to roll. If it never rolls, then great. I just do what I can to keep busy nowadays. You know, you and I, we were inseparable. 20 years the woman would come and go. I'm just saying, it shouldn't have come between us. But it did. I know it did. And it still does.
Dan chugs the whole bottle of wine.
That first mate, he's quite a character. He is indeed a character. They say he never breaks. I know who John Davies is. I'm the one who got him here. He's never once broken. Not a single slip. Not a crack on him. That's not a winning streak, begging for a challenger, then what the hell is? I bet I could get him to break. Care to put your money where your mouth is? You want to place a bet? For old time's sake? I'll bet you $10 I can get him to break before sunrise. I'll bet you...
Jack pulls out all the spare change from his pocket.
$12, 34 cents. $12.34 that you can't.
1, 2, 3, 4. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4. In your pocket. What are the chances?
The same chance that dinner at Turk's costs 50 minus 12.34. All right. Do we have a deal? Before sunrise. Deal.
They shake. Dan takes a swig from the wine bottle, but then realizes there's nothing left.
I thought there was a little more in there. You goddamn drunk.
Jack and Dan both laugh. Episode 2. The First Mate's Quarters. A tall wooden chair in the center of the room. The chair is an eyesore, and by its placement at the center point of the room, it can be implied that the chair is something John Davies, the method actor, has brought along with him to serve as a prop. The back wall is covered in holes, each about 3 inches in diameter. There's a 6-foot-long duffel bag at Proompt's feet, with something massive inside. A pile of bananas and apples atop a short dresser towards the near side of the cabin. Cricket stands over a desk and reads through the first mate's handwritten journal.
Went to land this morning at 6:20 in order to restock supplies following a series of misfortunes I encountered while trying to haul in a fish and supply my body with its vital nourishment. Inventory of purchased goods: 20 apples, 10 bunches of bananas, 50 onions, 10 pounds of salt beef. Total expenditures: $1.53. Numbers. I then paid visit to the local blacksmith and invited the young man to visit me at his earliest convenience aboard the brig Pilgrim.
Cricket flips a few pages.
I swiftly reprimanded the swindler, reminding him that I was no tyro to the sailing industry, nor virgin to the rake, and that I knew well the standard price for harpoon repair in these parts of Alto California, $2.12 on average, and never higher than $3.10.
Cricket flips a few pages.
Having reached my limit of patience with the con, I felt obliged to challenge the young man to a duel.
Cricket flips a few more pages.
The next time he feels impelled to drag a rake, he should think twice before he sets his mark upon a humble seafarer.
Cricket flips a few more pages and then closes the journal. He looks to Proompt and addresses him as Hawley, the actor, thereby breaking character.
You really go all out, don't you? I should tell you, from a young student of the craft to a man whom I consider a master, that I admire your dedication to the art.
Proompt responds, not as John Davies, but as Proompt, remaining in character.
The Pilgrim is my dedication, and the art is in the shipwrights who built her. I only watch over her. I've no art in me. I'm a simple manager of men.
Cricket has no idea how to improvise along.
Have you been living on board this, have you been living inside of her? What are all these holes in the wall?
For the past 15 years, I've spent 9 of 10 nights shutting my eyes right here in this chair.
You're sleeping in a chair? You do realize there's like a comfortable bed right behind you?
I spin about when I lie flat.
Spin about?
Promptly into a fit of bile and vomit. The towering rollers don't do well for my sensitive bowels. It's no bother, Cricket. I've become acclimated to the chair.
A little over the top. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, if you could spend one night with me when I make that grievous error of lying in parallel to the Pilgrim. You would be grateful that I've chosen to pass my sleeping hours upright in this chair.
No, I mean, we're still in the harbor, aren't we?
I remember telling you to take us out. I have a distinctively vivid memory of our conference. What did I tell you, Cricket? That I expected you to, what was the word I used? Delegate, yes? To have us in open waters by midnight, then in line of the trade winds by 6 in the morning, passing Mexico City by Saturday noon. Have I conjured this memory out of the aether, Cricket?
Cricket, fearful, struggles to improvise.
You did say that you wanted to be in Mexico City within 4 days.
Passing Mexico City. Never do I wish to be in Mexico City. How far to the Pacific trade winds? 6 hours.
Yes, 6 hours. And now that you mention it, you're right, and I am wrong. By Saturday at noon, we'll be in Mexico. Fist Mate Proompt.
Don't you take me to Mexico, Cricket.
I mean, passing Mexico City, by 12 noon, Saturday.
Well, the sooner the better.
Cricket, or rather Hawley, the actor, believing vulnerability will win him sympathy, begins to open up.
I'm really out of my league. Today is my first day, and I was under the impression I wouldn't be the only new actor. But it seems you've been living here for weeks or perhaps even months.
Actor?
Proompt stands up from his chair and approaches Cricket, with suspicion and rage brewing within him.
Listen, brother.
Are you Longfellow Prometheus Proompt? If not, then call me not your brother.
Oh, God. Chill. I know you're, like, deep in character right now, but dude.
Dude? You take me to be some Yankee Doodle?
I'm really fucking tired.
Fucking? What's that? Are you speaking in some savage tongue? You're not of mixed blood, are you? Open your mouth. Show me your tongue hasn't the dark spots.
Proompt inspects Cricket's face. Cricket opens his mouth wide.
I don't know how to play along in this act. I'm tired and I'm going to sleep.
Oh no, you don't slink off to sleep. Look into my eyes, Cricket. You're an actor, you say?
I am an actor. One of 2 new actors in this troupe.
An entire troop of imposters, you say, has infiltrated my brig. Prove this lie. When was it you could have possibly switched out my crew for actors? The short hour that I went to land to visit the blacksmith.
Wait, you actually saw a blacksmith today, Mr. Davies?
Your last warning to address me by formal titles. Mate Proompt, or Mate, or First Mate, Cricket.
Does that mean there's a harpoon? Is that what's in that bag? Jesus! There's 50 children on board, man!
I may be man, but on this ship, whether by crew or imposter, I will be called Mate.
Proompt whips Cricket, and Cricket cries aloud in agony.
Name the other members of this troop. We shall see if they reject this lie or uphold your story of conspiracy against the Pilgrim. The punishment for false accusation and conspiracy is the same. Beware, Cricket, of holding fast to a lie for too long, for that lie might become your reality, and you'll have to atone for your lie as lie becomes truth. Do you know what the ship's law says in regards to the punishment for conspiracy and false accusation?
Cricket is on the verge of shitting his pants.
You misunderstood me, First Mate Proompt. I am an actor. This part you understood in the proper, as I intended for you to understand it. I am an actor, but by hobby I am. By career, I am a sailor, like yourself, a seaman.
Proompt is suddenly relieved.
So it's not really your first day then, Cricket.
It's my first day aboard the brig Pilgrim.
Proompt becomes even more relieved.
But I come recommended as second mate due to my time aboard another ship.
Of course. What ship?
Cricket panics.
The HMS Beagle.
HMS, Her Majesty's ship. Few build ships as fine as the Brits. Leave it to the British to conflate their art with some sycophantish tail-wagging cur like the Beagle. A real pitiable creature. What model of ship is that, the Beagle?
Cricket struggles to improvise.
It's called a Darwinian.
How'd you come to work for the Brits? You're not one of those warmongers from Canada. Tell me you're not one of those northerner barbarians who still kneels for that obtuse wench Victoria.
No, I saw an ad in the classifieds.
A classified ad? Where were you living? Not in England, I pray.
No, in Boston.
And the Brits picked you up in Boston? You're not pulling a rake on me, are you, Cricket?
No, I had to take a connecting voyage.
Cricket struggles to improvise.
A connecting voyage to, Charlesshire. Then we departed from the, English Channel.
These are places I know very little of. You sound like a well-traveled man, Cricket. I'll get some rest.
Cricket's nerves begin settling.
Aye, First Mate Proompt. Let's rest.
I will rest. If you sleep, then how do you imagine we'll rouse the crew for the midnight watch?
I'll set an alarm, mate.
Who will sound an alarm if every man sleeps? Just set your eyes on that clock and wait for the hands to make their way to 10 plus 45.
Aye, Mate Proompt.
Proompt closes his eyes, and Cricket stares at the clock upon the wall. Episode 3. The Women's Cabin. Kathryn Elizabeth is asleep upon Nadia's lap. Lee sits on top of a desk across from them. To the rear of them, Teacher 1, Teacher 2, and Teacher 3 are tucked into their beds, still awake. Didai stands next to Nadia, hugging one of her legs.
So let me get this straight. You come back from India, and you steal away the man that this one was falling in love with.
Lee indicates Kathryn Elizabeth.
Reclaimed. I reclaimed the man who was mine and was never not mine to be claiming. Katie Beth was aware of the terms of her relationship with Dan. Or she wasn't ignorant.
I really don't care about any of that. Here's the part that piques my interest. So after you return and steal away...
Reclaim
the man that this one has been falling in love with for nearly a year, her response to all this was to form a deep and lasting friendship with you, a complete stranger to her.
That's Katie Beth.
She really is the sweetest little pretty thing.
I know it doesn't make much sense, but I'm telling you, that's all just something that happened.
Oh no, you had me from the start. Kathryn Elizabeth, you really are a charming little piece of rot.
Kathryn Elizabeth, groggy, pokes her head up.
You guys talking about me?
She immediately falls back asleep. Didai walks over to Lee and begins tugging on Lee's trench coat.
Why is the kid in here?
She said she was feeling seasick.
We're parked at the dock.
Doesn't mean she can't feel seasick.
Didai begins climbing Lee's leg.
Whatever. Can someone please excise this thing from my leg?
Lee kicks Didai off her leg.
Can I have a lollipop?
The lollipops are in Dan's suitcase, honey. You'll have to wait.
Lee places her trench coat on the table. She undresses until she is wearing only her underwear and bra. Didai stares up at Lee. Didai points to Lee's chest.
What are those?
These are breasts. You've never seen breasts?
Breastises.
But nobody calls them breasts anymore. Not in day-to-day conversation. So you should probably call them tits.
We don't need to teach Didai these words.
Lee puts on the trench coat.
Tits.
Didai, don't say that word.
It's fine. It's just something girls have. All girls have them, after all.
I don't have tits.
Didai, I mean it.
No, you don't have tits.
But I'm a girl.
There are plenty of girls who don't have tits. Earlier, when I said all girls have tits, I misspoke. Young girls, such as yourself, typically do not have tits.
You know, if you say it enough, she's gonna remember that word.
Wringing a contradiction out of some language game. It's a good start for finding some sense of meaning in the world. It's not an acceptable substitute for an unyielding deferment of certainty and the diligent uncovering of further evidence. Because, eventually, with language games, you find yourself tumbling down a slippery slope and into a leaden wall. A painful wall to slam up against when the slope is so slippery. And if you insist on continuing along this track, kid, you'll just end up hitting the same wall that I once hit. There's better methods we've come up with at BJIAS. And, if these methods are no longer proprietary by the time you're a grown woman with tits of her own, you should consider employing them in your own quest for purpose and meaning. That is, if you and your tits mean to get to the bottom of things. I mean, really get to the bottom of things. And uncover the hidden truths that lurk beyond some of the more absurd governing principles that play out their tendencies in a universe that has somehow managed to give rise to the likes of you and me and our tits.
She removes her bra and underwear and drops them upon the desk. The three teachers ogle her body. Didai stares up at Lee.
Can I have a lollipop?
Lee puts on the trench coat.
Now be gone. I've said all I can say.
I want a lollipop.
I mean it. Fuck off, kid.
The three teachers sound off in a cacophony of indignation.
How dare she speak that way to a child?
The shame! Who does she think she is? Lady Jesus? Giving us the sermon on her mounds? Chugging wine like it's grape juice in front of a child!
The shouting wakes Kathryn Elizabeth.
How long was I out?
The three female teachers return to their previous activities, shaking their heads in disapproval as they settle down.
2 hours.
Katie Beth!
Don't call me that.
Now that you're here with us, Katie Beth,
Seriously, don't call me that.
why on this night did you decide, of all nights, to come aboard the brig Pilgrim?
You know why I'm here.
Tell us. You're not here to beg the lawyer to marry you instead of the teacher Nadia, are you?
She does this, Nadia. Just ignore her. I'm engaged, I'll have you know, to my own fiancé. Well, I might be engaged to a nice young man. A doctor.
Lee jots something on her pad. Nadia becomes concerned, staring at the floor.
Oh, God.
It could be a coincidence.
He comes into the Ocean Institute every Tuesday, and he buys these pelican figurines for his granny.
Pelican figurines. I'm starting to connect the dots.
Connecting the dots. A slippery slope.
He has a fine taste in crafts. I find that attractive in a man.
Lee studies Nadia's face. Nadia lets out a long, deep sigh. Lee jots another note.
I know why you're here, Katie Beth.
Only Nadia can call me that.
I know why you're here. You're looking for that whale, the one the first mate was rambling on about. It's no coincidence that she's looking for a whale, and the first mate says there's one out there in the harbor.
Yes, that one. Except it's not a whale.
When he was talking about that invisible will or what have you, I remember well, he brought up the whale, too.
It's a shark.
A Greenland shark.
Of undetermined species.
Or a whale of undetermined species.
It's not a whale. We know that for sure.
The first mate seemed very certain that it was a whale. You'd have thought he'd seen it with his own eyes, the way he said it, when he said it was a whale.
You can sound real sure of something, but it doesn't mean you know what the hell you're talking about, you know? Not really.
I came here to find a Greenland shark. That was my bias, and I'll admit it. However, I will agree with the teacher here that the first mate was incredibly convincing when he spoke about that creature out there in the harbor and said with such heart-rending certainty that it was a whale.
The sample in our lab had scales.
So
it can't be a whale.
maybe some type of whale that has a scale.
Oh yeah? Or is it a shark whose fin hit the mark?
Or maybe a dolphin who fucking went golfin'? I picked a bad fish. Nothing rhymes with dolphin.
Oh, ha ha. You're making fun of me. You are, aren't you? Oh, yeah, I get it. Nadia's not a scientist like us. She's not college-educated like us two women. So let's pick on her for being the nincompoop in this conversation among the educated. Is that right?
Oh no, Nadia.
It's a good thing she's getting married.
Oh my god, come on, Nadia. We were just playing around.
It doesn't feel good.
I love you. Whales don't have scales. Not a one of them. It's a rather useless piece of information if you're not a marine biologist. But hey, now you know. The sample in my lab, it's got the scales.
So it can't be a shark?
No, that means it can't be a whale.
I'm confused. It's all so confusing.
Always jumping to conclusions.
Say what now?
I'm not so ready to make that jump, even if you are.
Tell me more. Do tell.
I'm not saying you're wrong, or that the first mate is right.
Kathryn Elizabeth glares at Lee with annoyance, drowsy by now.
Or that the first mate is right? It was his opening monologue. He's a well-known actor.
Yes, but even you'll have to admit, there is a disparity. We should try to keep an open mind.
That doesn't make any sense, dude, even by your standards.
Why do things always have to make sense with you? Something in her childhood, I'm sure. Did your father ever...
She points towards her own genitals.
You know.
What the fuck? What kind of question is that?
The constant need for order, making sense, at the expense of everything else, perhaps sometimes at the expense of the truth.
How do you expect to understand the world when you refuse every opportunity where you might be able to make some sense of it?
Because you're missing so much that's right in front of you, rejecting anything and everything that, to use your phrasing, doesn't make sense, dude. If I were to tell you that the Dr. Jack, your fiancé, was once the fiancé of your closest friend Nadia, would you say that too doesn't make any sense?
Nadia?
Katie Beth.
No.
Nadia, hesitating, nods her head up and down.
Don't give her this one.
Jack and I were together for 6 years. We were engaged to be married.
6 years?
6 long years.
Is it a whale? Is it a shark? We don't know.
I'm almost sure it's a whale out there.
A shark is a whale.
No, honey. A shark is a shark, and a whale is a whale. A whale is a mammal, and you're also a mammal. The whale is a mammal like you, did I?
I'm a whale.
Shit. No, you're not a whale, you're a mammal, and the whale is also a mammal.
I'm a whale.
It's not like that, did I? One group of ancient mammals became human, and another group swam out into the ocean and turned into whales.
I'm gonna turn into a whale.
Oh, no.
Nadia takes a sip of wine.
I don't care for it. I'm a human being, damn it. Of course, that's not enough for these scientists telling us how to live out our lives.
Nadia takes another drink.
The rest of us just want to live in a world of humanity, you know. That's all we care for. A world of humanity, where we can all live on with the consequences of being human.
I want a lollipop.
No lollipop, did I? We'll get you one later.
If you don't give me a lollipop, I'll turn into a whale.
Now that would be absurd.
I'll turn into a whale and I'll sink the ship.
Oh my god, you're so adorable.
Lee, Kathryn Elizabeth, and Nadia look down at Dudai.
But she'll be plain when she grows up. You can tell.
I have hope for Dudai.
Nadia looks over at Dudai.
Her dad has a great ass.
Nadia?
Her mom's got tits that all the other moms envy.
Ladies,
My dad has a great ass.
I hope you're happy.
Shit.
Oh no, undo. Delete. Revert to factory settings.
Hey, Dudai, can you spell your name for me?
D-E-D-A-I.
Is this how you make them forget?
We'll see if it works. Hey, Dudai, can you sing the ABCs for us?
A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J.
She forgets the rest.
Oh, that's good enough. Sing that part again.
A, B, C, D, E.
She forgets the rest.
F.
F, G.
Lee mocks Dadai.
And she doesn't even get a lollipop.
Next time on City of Dana.
You know, there's a difference
There is.
between
Between what?
refusing.
Refusing who?
Would you shut up for a goddamn...
How long?
There's a difference between refusing to meet somebody and snubbing that person when you happen to encounter them live and in person.
Aw. I'm a somebody